very much for joining me today. My name is Rory Munro. I'm one of the NetSuite solution consultants here at Eureka Solutions, and you've joined us today for the NetSuite for fast growing businesses. So thank you very much for joining. So hopefully you're here today because your business is growing quickly. You might be expanding into new territories, or perhaps you've secured some recent investment and you need to professionalize your back office systems. You might even be adding more business units, entities, or currencies. Whatever the reason that you're with us today and looking for a new system, you're most likely experiencing issues with your current system, and I would imagine that it's not servicing your growing needs. It might be due to too many manual processes, increased complexity in managing and reporting your financial periods, and perhaps a reliance on Excel spreadsheets that are slowing you down. In today's session, I'll explain why NetSuite will eliminate many of these issues that you're currently experiencing and how it can facilitate your ambitious plans to grow. Also, and how in most cases, this doesn't require increasing finance team headcount either. So it'll be a quick rundown of how the platform can solve these specific issues. And after that, we'll follow that with a look at the platform itself if you haven't seen that before. And as always, with our webinars, we'll leave some time for questions at the end. If you do have any questions, please feel free as we're going through the webinar to pop those in the Q&A chat box, and I will make sure that I've got time to answer those for you at the end. And of course, if you like what you see in today's session, then the next step would be to reach out to us, and we would love to do a personalised demonstration for you. What that'll allow me to do is give you a much more in-depth look at NetSuite, and we can look at any specific process areas that are relevant to your business and use it as a bit of a proof of concept to show you how NetSuite is actually going to achieve this for you. So just very quickly, before we get into detail about NetSuite, I just wanted to introduce ourselves at Eureka Solutions if you haven't heard or engaged with us before. So we're founded in 1996 on two core principles, those being technical expertise and customer service, and we've been assisting businesses like yours for decades. As a NetSuite solution provider since 2012, we've successfully implemented over 120 end-to-end NetSuite projects. Along the way, you can probably see from there, we're proud to have scooped up a number of awards, such as EMEA New Partner of the Year, the 5-Star Partner Award, and Best Performing Partner as well. To this day, we're proud to uphold the expertise in ERP accreditation, and I think that just kind of circles around and demonstrates our commitment to those core principles, especially the technical expertise. You'll also see from the second bullet point that not only do we offer NetSuite, but we also have been a long-standing Sage 200 partner. We are also now an iPlicit partner, and we have our own integration platform, Syncly. So if you're looking towards NetSuite, but you've got any other systems like HubSpot, Salesforce, even any e-commerce sites that you're using, such as Shopify, WooCommerce, etc., we actually have our own integration tool with already pre-made connectors for these systems. So we can be your one-stop shop for ensuring that that is linked with your ERP or finance system. Now, a bit about Oracle NetSuite, if you aren't too familiar already. Known as the world's #1 cloud ERP system, it was founded in 1998 as NetLedger, and it was overtaken by Oracle in 2015, where it is today. It is a 100% true cloud system, so it can be accessed from any device, anytime, anywhere, as long as you've got an internet connection. One of the key features of NetSuite, as you would expect for an ERP, is that it is one central database. So you've got a single source of truth for all of your information and your different departments within the business. Being backed by Oracle, you have a robust security and privacy infrastructure behind you, so you never need to worry about the integrity or uptime of your data. Now, one of the key ones for NetSuite customers as well is that you get automatic upgrades twice per year. So this is rolled out across all NetSuite instances, so everyone is working on the same version of the platform. Unlike some other systems like Sage 200, if you're familiar with that one, these are automatic for everyone and they're not at any additional cost. What that ensures is that your system is always up to speed with the latest features, and there's obviously a big emphasis just now on things like artificial intelligence and how we can embed those in the system and make sure that it is as up to speed as possible and it's taking away as much pressure from your team to get on with other more lucrative items and tasks. One example of that as well is that in the UK, when Making Tax Digital became mandatory for tax submissions, that was an automatic upgrade for all NetSuite users. So unlike some other platforms, maybe that was something that you would have had to previously pay for. With NetSuite, it was rolled out. It was a UK legislative change, and they wanted to make sure that all of their customers were up to speed and compliant. And another little statistic here for you, Oracle now has over 41,000 customers worldwide. And so that really does kind of underpin how experienced they are in this space, how many customers they have that are successfully using the platform day to day for their operations. And so what we have here is a little functionality diagram for NetSuite. So what we can see here, firstly from the middle, is that we have that single data source that we talked about there as well. So it's a single suppository for all of your information. And what that does in the second ring is ensures that all of the branches of your organization, including of course that core financials, that you also have all of these other departments speaking to each other and using the same single data source, whether that is CRM, human resources, e-commerce, project management, supply chain, etc. You'll also notice the segment there for our Suite app partners. So building on the functionality that NetSuite already offers, there is a Suite Developer Network, or SDN, which we ourselves are part of. And what that allows partners to do is to create other innovative Suite apps to extend the platform's functionality. So that could be things like payroll, invoice capture, and many, many more things as well. On the outer ring here, what we'll also see is that it supports multi-language, multi-currency, multi-country tax compliance, and also multi-subsidiary management as well. So no matter how many countries, currencies, subsidiaries, or languages you require, NetSuite can scale to accommodate all of those. And so just a little bit about our NetSuite customers at Eureka Solutions. As I'd mentioned earlier, we've done over 120 end-to-end implementations. So this is just a very small snapshot of some of our customers. We'll just pick out a couple to mention. In the top right there, we've got Motor Fuel Group, or MFG. If you've not heard of MFG, they are one of the largest petrol station forecourt providers in the UK. They recently, I believe it was last year, undertook an acquisition of the petrol stations and forecourts for Morrisons. So they're a very big customer. I believe they're around 8 billion turnover per year. Really what that gives you is an idea of scalability. So as much as NetSuite can accommodate businesses of all sizes, and it is a platform for growth, then you can see how it's not a system that you're going to quickly outgrow. So you have confidence that you can implement NetSuite and you can enjoy the benefits of that for a long time. You're not going to have to move off of that again quickly, because who wants to go through multiple implementations back to back? Underneath them as well, we have Eden. Eden are a really interesting customer, like yourselves as fast-growing customers. They've been emerging into lots of new markets. So they have operations in the UK. They also are all over Europe, France, Germany, etc., expanding into other areas. And NetSuite's really been a platform for that growth and expansion for them. They're obviously utilising the multi-country tax compliance and many other features like languages, etc., as well. And you've probably had a wee chance to read through the quote from the Director of Finance at Connect there. Just a little nod to how NetSuite and Eureka Solutions have exceeded their expectations and really been a platform that they can grow on. As I say, just a very small sample of our customers, but a few relevant ones there for fast-growing businesses. Now, just to get into some of the benefits of NetSuite and how it really is going to deliver what I'm saying it'll deliver. So one of the key ones is the enhanced reporting and visibility. So what NetSuite allows you to do is have real-time visibility with a tailored dashboard, which gives you a view of what's important to you within your role. You can easily check multiple things like cash flows, any open issues, etc. We'll actually get into a bit of the dashboard in the demonstration or the walkthrough today, and you'll actually be able to see firsthand how that live data is driven to your fingertips. It allows you to manage all your subsidiaries within one system. So you can move away from having multiple instances of finance software, no more siloed data, making it hard to analyze data across your businesses. That's going to be much more simple. And you're going to have that consolidated view as well. So being able to report right down into the subsidiary level, you're going to be able to have that consolidated view too, and the elimination of any intercompany transactions. This is all things that are fully automated and seamless within NetSuite. And of course, what it's going to do as well is improve your data accessibility. It's always up to date. Everyone's working off of the same information. It's going to help you analyze, spot trends, and ultimately make better, faster, data-driven decisions. In terms of time savings, you can see a few little statistics here that we've got. Things like our month-end process being shortened by 7 days for SaltRock. Improved accounts receivable, the collection period reducing by between 30 and 50%. And again, a reduction in month-end time from 10 days down to 2 days. Now, that is one of the big key ones that we see. It does take businesses a long time when you're using things like manual spreadsheets, but with a system like NetSuite that's running in the background, doing all of this on a day-to-day basis, it makes your month-end process so much slicker and more efficient for you. So what that's going to do as well, of course, is take a lot of pressure off your team and you as well, and hand you back that time to work on other things that I'm sure you would much prefer doing than things like month end. And the way that, of course, it's doing that is less manual input, but also those programmed workflows and your processes, which are out-of-the-box functionalities in NetSuite. A couple of examples there, things like expenses, purchase orders, credit control, but that's just a snapshot of what a system like NetSuite can do for you. In terms of modular and scalable growth, what we refer to a lot with NetSuite is the suite success methodology. Now, what this is a phased approach to get you up and running and implemented in a system like NetSuite much faster. So what it actually gives us is a out-of-the-box system based on the industry that you're in. So for yourselves as fast-growing businesses, that might be a financials first instance, which we'll be having a look at today. And everything that we show you today is actually out-of-the-box functionality as well. What that does for us as an implementation partner is means that we can actually get down to the configurable parts of the system that you need to tweak and change to suit your business much more quickly. And we're going to spend less time setting up things like reports, save searches, dashboards, etc. So it's going to be a quicker and more cost-effective implementation for you. Now, as I've mentioned, NetSuite really is a flexible and scalable system. So as your business grows, whether it's users, entities, transactions, NetSuite is built for that growth. And if we go back to Motor Fuel Group as an example, we can see just the level of growth that is achievable with this system. It's also very configurable and customizable. It is probably one of the more configurable and user-friendly systems, as hopefully you'll see today. So as your business becomes more sophisticated, then NetSuite can adapt with you, and it's something that you're going to have the ability to actually go in and change. So things like reports, dashboards, etc. These are all things that you'll be able to do on the fly, making sure that it's up to speed in the way that you need it. As an implementation partner, though, you're always going to have Eureka Solutions here to back you. So for anything more complex, whether it's consultancy or even development, we have our own development house team in-house here, and we can do custom development within the system. And as I mentioned, also we have our Basincly platform for your integrations. And just a final point, it's going to allow you to do more with less. So you've got a quicker time to value and return on your investment. It might mean things like not needing to increase your finance staff headcount, and allowing you to comfortably sit with the team that you've already built, but sustain that growth. Alrighty, and without any further ado, we're going to get on to our NetSuite demonstration portion of this webinar. So what we're just doing here is logging into our NetSuite instance. You'll notice that I'm just doing this from a Google Chrome browser, but you can do this from any of the key browsers, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, etc., etc. Now, I just use the conventional sign-in email and password, but it also supports single sign-on and also multi-factor authentication as well. So if you've got any of those more sophisticated security requirements, then you're going to be able to achieve that with NetSuite. Now, if you haven't seen NetSuite before, this is an example of a dashboard or a landing page. No, this is what you will see when you sign in to NetSuite. So already flooded with a lot of good information at our fingertips here. Just to talk around the page, at the top right here, what we can see is that we're signed in as Carol Morgan. Now, she is the financial controller within this organization, and we can also see that we're working off of a Financials First premium account. So as I mentioned, there's a number of out-of-the-box accounts that you can have, and they're all industry specific to make sure that they have the features that you would expect for your business. So what we can see is a number of out-of-the-box roles. Now with NetSuite, you have the ability to capitalize on these out-of-the-box roles, but we can also customize these for you just to make sure that your users have exactly the access, permission, visibility to areas of the system that are relevant to them. One of the benefits of that is not only making sure that your employees can only see things that are relevant to them, we can restrict that down. It's also making sure that their focus is much narrower. They're seeing things that they need to within the system, and they're not being bogged down with areas that aren't relevant to them either. So as I mentioned, these are all fully customizable, and they all have their own dashboards as well that are all set up. Something that's not here, but might be relevant to your business as well, are things like project management. So that can be fully dealt with within NetSuite, and you would have things like project manager dashboards, etc. as well. So we're going to stay in the financial controller here because it just gives us a really nice overview of everything. But bearing in mind, we can have those as well. We also have our employee center role. What this allows is a more restricted dashboard role, and that might be for any users within your organization that don't require access to financial transactions within the system, but they maybe do need to enter or approve things like expense reports or even purchase requests as well. We also have an administrator role, so you'll have an administrator or multiple within your organization, and these are people that will have full access to the system and can make changes. Of course, you can restrict that down for other users so that they can't be making changes to things in the system. If we look up the top here, we can see our global search bar. So this just works like Google. So if there's anything in the system that I in my role have access to that I want to view, then I'll have the ability to do so. You can also use things like custom prefixes to narrow down the search. So if we put in something like Baymania. So excuse the fact that this says vendor, it's just the American terminology. Everything can be changed, so we could have that to say supplier for you. But by putting in that little custom prefix and then starting to write in the name of this supplier, I can see that it's now narrowed that down to Baymania for me. If I were to click on that, it would take me directly to the supplier record within NetSuite. I'd be able to see all of the information for that supplier, including things like payment terms, bank account details, etc. Also any transactions that we've done with that that supplier as well. Looking around the dashboard some more, we have our recent records here, so you can see a number of records that I've been into. If I wanted to just quickly go back into a transaction and edit or view it again, I have the ability to do that without having to manually navigate there. We also have our shortcuts portlet here, so if we wanted to add anything in there, like maybe creating a sales transaction or viewing a specific report, whatever it may be within the system, we can just have a quick link there to that. By clicking on our home dashboard icon at any time, we'll always be brought back to this dashboard. So we might be away in the system, dealing with transactions, viewing reports, etc. If we click this, it's going to take us straight back here to our dashboard. And then just finally along the top here, we have our traditional breakdown menu structure. So anything that we can access in the global search bar here, of course, we can manually make our way through it here as well. You can see in this drop down here for the reports, there are, I think, roughly in excess of 150 out of the box reports with any edition of NetSuite. But these can also be built upon, and at Eureka Solutions, we can make sure that we have the reports that you need. Any reports that you might be used to just now from other systems, we can make sure that we get it in there for you. Okay, so just to have a little look around our dashboard here then as well, what we have are our white portlets, as they're called in NetSuite. Now this is fully customizable. I told you it was a flexible system and that we can make changes. We can easily drag and drop these and move them around to change the view of our dashboard. We can also change the layout as well. And that might be helpful if you're using maybe a smaller laptop screen or a larger monitor screen, etc. But the point is you can have this looking any way that you like. One of my favorite reminders portlets here is the reminders. So what this is actually doing is pushing through any actionable tasks or saved search reports within the system to my dashboard. Again, it's fully customizable. We can add and take away from it. A few examples that we've got set up here are things like purchase orders to approve. Now you'll notice that all of these are blue hyperlinked as well. So not only is it telling me that I have one purchase order to approve or 8 purchase orders to bill, if I was to click that, it would actually take me to that page. And let's just do that as an example for you. What we're also demonstrating here is the ability to have that as a tabular view. So we can keep our instance open, but we can view that per tab. And as I mentioned, what it's done now is it's taken me to this purchase order. What I'd then be able to do is view and either approve or reject that. Now, what that's working on is a workflow within the system. So there are standard workflows within the system. So you could put that to things like, department heads, etc. We can build those workflows out for you as well. So no matter how complex your workflows may be, you may have multiple levels. You may have thresholds, i.e., it goes over a certain amount, it goes to this person. This person's not available or on holiday, goes to this person. We can build that out for you. But there is a lot of out-of-the-box functionality we can capitalize on too. As well as actionable tasks, what you can also do is look at things like saved searches. So an example of that is we've got invoices that are now over 30 days old for a larger value over 50K. So what that's indicating to me is that that might be one that's worth chasing. Now you can have credit chasing workflows within the system, which are going to pull things like this up, and you can automate, correspondence out to the customers to chase that. But also, it's just giving me really good visibility of that within the system. So just to have a wee look through, we'll maybe just go down the left-hand side first. We've got a number of different KPI meters, trend graphs, etc. So I've got a lot of my receivable information on the left, things like my sales. What we can also see is things like our monthly receivables trend. Now we can interact with these graphs. We can hover over them and see the value at certain points. We can change the layout of it if we want to view it under different visuals. We can change the context. So we could say, well, actually, I want to view it quarterly rather than monthly, or I want to view it weekly. And what we can also do is to print, export, or download these under a number of different file formats as well. So if we wanted to take this out, put it into, a board pack, or email it to someone in the organization that maybe doesn't have access to the financial part of NetSuite, you can get your data out very, very easily and quickly. And again, things like monthly sales trends, things like top 10 customers by sales. You could do that by things like top sales per item. It's very, very flexible in NetSuite. Along the right-hand side as well, I've got it set up for my payables. So things like our monthly purchase trends, monthly payables trends. I've got two of those in there, and our KPI meter for our payables as well. Now, in NetSuite, there is a massive emphasis on getting you to the information that you need as quickly as possible. And the way that we do that, rather than always making you go to the conventional drop-down ribbon, is putting dashboard tiles and quick links into your dashboard to make sure that you can get where you need to be. Now, again, this is all customizable. There might be different reports you want headlined here. That's absolutely fine. This is just an example of some of the key ones that we find customers usually want. Things like your balance sheet, your trial balance, your profit and loss, and your budget versus actuals. Now we're going to come back to the reports, so I'm going to move away from those for a wee second just to show you around the rest of the dashboard. Again, have our navigation shortcut groups. So looking at things like suppliers, customers, employees, viewing or creating transactions such as journal entries, budgets, looking at our bank reconciliation, etc., etc. And there's a number of these that we can have here as well. Again, all fully customizable. Now, in our key performance indicators here, what we can see is a lot of information pulling through. And you can actually see how flexible it is in terms of looking at trends and comparisons as well. So we've got things like our sales, our payables, expenses, etc. We can see the comparisons that we've pulled through. So we're looking at this month versus last month for our sales. Here's our current and previous, and we can see a percentage increase highlighted in green at 7.6%. You can also see how we can have some of these ones highlighted for a bit more visual at the top. We can also see how these are all drillable information. So this is blue hyperlinked, meaning that if I was to click on that, it would take me directly to the report that that figure has come from. Not only that, which is what we'll see when we come back to reports, that we can actually drill down into the transaction level from the dashboard in 3 clicks. But we'll come back to that at the end. Again, just moving down here, what we can see is our subsidiary navigator. Now, I mentioned in the slides that NetSuite is a platform that can handle multi-entities or subsidiaries. So whether that is multiple entities within the UK or whether you have international operations as well, for instance, the Netherlands. What we can see with this very simple subsidiary structure here is our top level consolidated parent company, showing us all the information for that. Then what we can see is broken down into our subsidiaries, and we also have that elimination subsidiary. So what that gives us the ability to do is tag certain transactions, for instance, any intercompany payments, journals, etc. Tag those as elimination, and then during our period close, what that will do is it will automatically run elimination journals, ensuring that we don't have any inflated figures due to expenses, revenue, etc. Now, what this allows us to do as well is actually view our dashboard under different contexts. So if you are the financial controller, the CFO, whoever it may be, and you want to be able to view this for different subsidiaries, we're currently looking at this for the parent company just now. If I was to click on UK London, what that's going to do is refresh my entire dashboard and only show me information for that subsidiary. So what we can see is all of our portlets have updated. Oh, apologies, just clicked something there. We can see that this has all been updated and all of the figures are now only pulling through for our UK London. Now, if we click on the Netherlands, there's not going to be a lot of data in here, just purely on the basis that this is a demo account. So we can see all the figures are a null value, apart from some of our payables there. But what this does demonstrate for us is the ability to have multiple currencies. So you can see here that this is in euros. Now, with NetSuite, you can actually automate the process of your foreign exchange. So you can input those yourself, say on a daily basis. It's entirely up to you. But if you want to, you can tie that to either the HSBC foreign exchange rates or Exignite, and that will be refreshed on a daily basis, making sure that all of that pulls through. Now, going back into our parent company, what that will also do is that if we have transactions coming in from the Netherlands, France, Germany, wherever it may be, all multiple currencies, it is going to roll up into the consolidated currency of our parent company. So what you'll see here is that all of that is now in GBP, and that's been automatically done within a matter of seconds for us. Again, just to finish off the dashboard, we can see things like incoming and outgoing future cash outlays. Again, we can hover over and view this information. We have things like our weekly cash projection, just giving us a snapshot of that in our dashboard here. We can see our financial overview, and so things like our bank balance, revenue, COGS or cost of goods sold, etc., etc. Now, these are all fully customizable too. What you'll also notice is you have the ability to view these under a trend graph as well, just in case you wanted to view that in a more visible fashion. Again, we can export, we can change the period, etc., and that's going to update within a couple of seconds. All fully drillable information, giving us comparisons as well. So this is really just an example of what you can achieve with a NetSuite dashboard. This is very heavily tailored towards the financial controller, of course. This will be different depending on the role that you're within in NetSuite. Again, also, what you can do is you can create and publish dashboards for your users. So if you want to set a sales dashboard up, you want it to be the same, consistent for everyone, you can just publish that and lock it down. If you do want some of your employees, your users, to have a little bit more autonomy to make their dashboards work for them, then you can allow them to do that as well. But you can always restrict the visibility and make sure that they're only seeing what they should be seeing within the system. Now, as promised, before we finish up, I just want to show you a couple of reports in the system. So if we go ahead and click on our profit and loss, that's going to load that up for us. Now, what we can see immediately from this is an example of our chart of accounts along the left here in NetSuite. Now, there is an emphasis in NetSuite as well as accessibility and having the ability to have a nice streamlined chart of accounts. And the way that it does this is to allow us to segment reports and tag transactions. We can tag that based on our subsidiary context, but also we could do that based on locations, departments, classes. Those are all out of the box ones for you. And you also have the ability to have unlimited custom segments as well. Now, that could be used for anything that you can imagine you'd want to tag against a transaction. A common example of that is maybe like any internal projects that you're running that you want to tag any costs and expenses to. You can do that at the transactional level and then roll that up into here. What you can also do here is very easily toggle and change the context that we're seeing, okay? So in the period here, we're looking at this period, but what if I wanted to look at, the year? We can quickly click on the quick filter, and then we can maybe click last fiscal year. We can refresh, and that is going to pull through all the values for us there in a couple of seconds. Subsidiary context, we're looking at UK company consolidated just now. As I mentioned, same rules apply from the dashboard. We can change that. So we wanted to look at UK London, refresh, and it's going to pull through all of that information for us. In our column, this is where we can look at those segments there as well. So if we go ahead and click maybe class hierarchy and refresh, what that will pull through is some classes that we have. If I pop this back here, we might get a bit more information. Just a couple here that we've got. So what we can see is we can see transactions that have no class. We can see ones that have been tagged as custom development and administration. Now you can have a vast number of classes here. So that might be things like the services that you provide within your organization. Whatever it may be, you can do that there. If we wanted to look at it from a department, Again, we can click and refresh that, and we can see the different departments. Now, you might want to have that broken down into multiple departments with hierarchies as well. So you might have different pillars in your organization, and you might have parent and child relationships between those. That can all be mapped out and shown here within the context. Just go back to the period. We're working with demonstration data here, so sometimes roll through. But if we look at that, we can see how that's opened it up there for us as well. So we've got a few more departments pulling through. We can also see a parent and child one here. So under the branch of professional services, we can see our consulting, and we can see a subtotal column pulling through there as well. Just lastly on that one, we can see our location as well. So we can see that pulling through Liverpool, London, Manchester, Newcastle. What we can also do here as a demonstration for you is to show you that by accounting period as well. And if we just change the context of that, we might get a little bit more. There we go. So we can see that broken down here. We've got our financial year 2024 broken into our different quarters, and then further broken down again into our individual months as well, just to give you a bit more granularity in your reporting. Now, another great thing to mention from this is that all of this information is fully drillable. Okay, so we opened this up from our dashboard. If we were to click on one of these figures, what it's now going to do is take me away from the summary and into the detail. So we can see our revenue nominal code here broken down into all the transactions that make that up. We can see things like invoices, journals, cash sales, etc. If we open up one of those invoices, for instance, what that's going to do is load up that transaction. So we can already see the date that it was posted, the document number, the name, the split account, etc. But in the background here, this is just loading this up for us to the transaction. Now, as I mentioned as well, it's been able to scroll down and see all of this and see the total columns. This has been done from our home dashboard in 3 clicks to our transaction level. So if we go to this invoice as well, what we can see is a lot of information pulling through here, all of the information for the customer, the invoice. We can see that it's that status of paid in full. And we have our summary tables here, the account that it posts to. If we scroll down as well, we can see the line level data as well for the item, description, and all of the quantities. Now this one's been processed and paid in full. If this was a transaction that was, pending approval or needing any adaptations, we can quickly edit and change that transaction as well. Okay, so we're just going to put this back here. And just lastly on here, all of these reports are fully configurable as well. So as I'd mentioned, if you have any specific reports that you require within the system, it's usually likely that we can use one of those out-of-the-box 150 reports as a template. But what we can also do is just create reports from scratch for you as well. Once your reports are finished, we can do things like collapsing them, expanding them out, just to see whatever data you need to. We can also export them under a number of different file formats, things like Excel, PDF, CSV, Word, all the usual ones that you would expect. We can print the reports, we can email them, and we can also set up email schedules as well. So if you have any members of the organization that maybe aren't on NetSuite because they don't need access to it, but they need to see certain reports, you can set up a schedule for them. A common use case or example for that as well is maybe you have a weekly internal meeting, and maybe you want a specific report to be scheduled to be sent out to all the participants of that meeting, half an hour before the meeting. You're all then been set very up-to-date, consistent data, and you all go into that meeting equipped with the same information there as well. Another report to mention is our budget versus actuals as well. So what you can do is you can create budgets within NetSuite, or if you prefer to continue doing that in Excel, you can also import those into NetSuite as well. If you want to get a little bit more automated, there is third-party applications that can actually link NetSuite with Excel so that you can continue to run budgets, reports, etc. in Excel, and you can push and pull data to and from the two systems to ensure that that is updated. And it's good for things like, revised or reforecasting your budgets, etc. Once the budget data is in NetSuite, we get access to this budget versus actual report. So what we can see is the ability to view the current amount versus the budgeted amount. We can see whether that's over or under the budget, and we can see a percentage of budget there as well as being able to do all the normal toggles to view that under different contexts, budgeting down to, items, departments, classes, locations, whatever it may be. We can also have multiple budget categories as well. So we can have legacy and we can have multiple versions of that too. So that's just a wee overview of a couple of the reports. As I mentioned, there are a very large number of reports for you to view within the system. Now, the idea for today was just to give you a quick walkthrough of this. Of course, we've only scratched the surface of NetSuite. There's so many processes: procure to pay, order to cash, your project management, things like that. So there's a lot in the system that we could show you. And if you'd like to see that, then please reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to discover that for you and to understand your requirements and then to provide you with a tailored demonstration. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope that you have gained something from the session, whether it be a look at NetSuite for the first time or whether it's a call to action that you want to get in touch with us and have a more in-depth conversation about how we can help. So, as I say, stay on for another wee minute or so, but otherwise, thank you very much for joining us today.